computer. Oh,
Maybe can you send the controls back to me and I'll hit record?
it's recording, I think.
Okay, good. Oh,
So
yes, I see it.
so you can go in the chat box. You can click chat and it'll pop up a little window. If you can say your name, your pronouns, the city you're calling from, and your favorite activity to stay. Ooh, the suspense. I didn't copy the rest of that. So it should say that your favorite activity to stay grounded during and or embodied during quarantine. And if you're like me and you're attending this conversation because you've been a part of gentle yoga, and gentle yoga is your response, feel free to share why gentle yoga is your favorite activity. Normally, if we had enough space and time and we were in person, we'd go around and individually share. But I think for the sake of time, if everyone could just use the chat feature, I'll go ahead and introduce myself with the check-in, and I'll ask our panelists, Jessica and Caleb, to do the same. My name is Ardita Gallardo. I use she, her, they, them pronouns. I'm based in Oakland, California. Gentle yoga is definitely my jam. And it's because it's on Wednesday and it breaks up my week. It's something to look forward to. And I just feel really calm and can access my body during the week, which is why I continue to come each Wednesday when I can. I'm gonna popcorn it over to Caleb to go next.
Thank you, Adita. My name is Caleb. I use they and them. I'm calling from Berkeley. I just moved to Berkeley last week. I'm still getting used to it. And my favorite activity is definitely gentle yoga. And I feel like we'll probably talk more about this, but it really helps me connect with my body more. And it also really helps manage my pain levels, which is beautiful. And I'm so grateful to Jessica. Would you like to go next, Jessica?
Guess that would be me, right? Yeah. So lots of familiar faces. Most of you guys, we are friends already. We know each other. I'm Jessica. I'm in Orange County, California. Grounding activities would be yoga, surprise, surprise, and being out in nature. Like if I am over yoga or can't practice that day or whatever, being outside at the beach, hiking or whatever, definitely gets me into a better headspace.
Thanks so much, y'all. Y'all are just hearing from our beautiful and brilliant and marvelous yoga instructor, Jessica. And why don't we start with you, Jessica, since you are really the star of this conversation. First, I just want to say how grateful I am for you and your class. I feel the way that you show up and all the wisdom and all the movement that you've shared with me has been so really revolutionary, so enlightening, so freeing. And so just want to start with gratitude. But I also want this opportunity to get to know you a little bit more. I joined gentle yoga at the start of the pandemic, and my fellow femme, Susana, who's on this call, was like, you should do gentle yoga to kind of de-stress from all the mess that we were holding, and that each week we hold. And would love to know, how did you get into yoga?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for saying all these wonderful things. It's like, yes, it makes me very happy. I appreciate every single one of you. I got into yoga, I think like most people, probably a lot more than 10 years ago, as a way to lose weight. I was like obsessed with dieting. Every time I went to the doctor, they're like, you're fat, lose weight. I was like in that headspace until about 6 or 7 years ago. So yoga was something I did, and I didn't really enjoy it too much. I would do this fast-paced classes, and I felt like my body hurt after, and it was just a way to beat myself up to exercise. And then around 30, so about 6 years ago or something, I started realizing I really liked hiking. I really liked being in nature. It was like the first time I realized I enjoyed it. And it got me started on this journey to find ways to move my body that I actually liked, and for the sake of moving my body, because it felt good and it made me feel mentally better. And I realized that when I took the weight loss aspect out of it, I felt at peace. I felt good. I felt those endorphins, as people like to say. So from there, I just start to explore different types of movement, and I came back around to yoga. Once I started seeing people like Jessamine Stanley and Big Al Yoga, Valerie, who's actually on this call right now, on places like Instagram and that other blog site, I can't even remember the name of it right now, that was really popular, it's not anymore, Tumblr. And the visibility of seeing bodies that look like mine made me realize, like, oh, maybe I can approach this from a different way. There are different types of yoga I didn't know. So that really got me back into it, and I just connected with it in such a way. And it brought me just ease in my body and peace of mind and things like that. So that was really it was the second time around is where I got into yoga, and it stuck. And then a few years after that, I did my teacher training.
Oh my gosh, what a journey. And I feel like you said so much in that. I just want to say, just want to use the clap reaction to be like, yes.
The little yellow hands on here.
Exactly. That's also a shout out for folks to use that and thumbs up it, because I feel like so many fat folks, as a fat femme, weight loss was the goal. And through your class, I've learned to just accessing your body and accessing movement can be fun, can be enjoyable. And while weight loss may be an outcome of it, for me, it's not the goal. It's not why I do it. And so, yeah, and I'm also curious if, did you grow up with yoga, or are there any cultural reasons why yoga is important with you?
I did not grow up with yoga in my life. I am half Indian, so, technically it is part of my culture, but it was never something that was present in my household or anything that I studied or practiced growing up. So definitely came into it, as I got into it the second time around, having a newfound appreciation of yoga as it's related to my heritage. And really that came from going through yoga teacher training and having that background of where the practice comes from and the different roots that the different groups of people around that part of the world had in yoga. So that definitely wasn't a motivator, but it helps me feel close to the practice in a different way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Just because so much of what yoga in the mainstream is projected to be, or who gets to lead yoga and what bodies get to be featured, again, it's just the way, just how you show up, who you are, and how you do it is just so profound. And I will continue to rave about you and this class and all the ways that you are challenging so many things, right? Which I think we'll get into in a little bit. And I'm sure Caleb will definitely bring it up. Caleb, hey girl.
Hi.
Thanks for joining the call and being willing to talk about your experiences with yoga. Caleb and I have known each other for a couple of years now in the Bay, and Caleb is a fat liberation scholar, activist, and just fabulous person. Love the Gorda shirt. But sort of similar to Jessica, I would want to let our yoga community get to know you a little bit better, since I know you've been partaking in these classes. So I'm curious how you got interested in yoga and what kept you coming to Jessica's class.
Yeah, thank you so much, Alisa, for inviting me. It's an honor. I've been attending these classes regularly for a couple of months now since the pandemic. Always felt very shy to have my camera on and felt self-conscious about that. So this feels like a great sort of breakthrough for that. I appreciate it. But I think actually you were the one that was raving about this class. And I was really interested in it, and I wasn't able to attend for the first few weeks because I was taking a class still that coincided with it. And so when classes ended, I joined, and I was really looking for ways to keep moving my body under quarantine, and I was really struggling with that. I related a lot to what Jessica said about the ways that movement is really placed behind barriers for fat folks. And it's something that I really had to have my own journey with. And yoga wasn't my first stop, similar to what Jessica said. And under quarantine and through her making these classes available has been so helpful for me and like I mentioned earlier, they help me, I feel like, become more embodied. I am in this process of like realizing just how disembodied I've been most of my life, which I think probably is not unusual for fat folks. I think that fat phobia and fat stigma really does a lot of harm to us in terms of disconnecting us from ourselves, from accessing movement, from um, all kinds of stuff, right? And so the classes have been really helpful for me to just remember, like, oh, I have a body and I have these muscles that I can access and these movements that I can do. And then what's really kept me coming back is like really how wonderful it's been for my pain management. I have chronic lower back pain, and every week um yeah, it's just like becomes so much better. And every week after classes, like I just feel like a new person. And I can feel um, in my body again, and it feels like that kind of good sort of soreness that is like the benefit of movement, but again, like not something I really had access to or really connected with or recognized for so long.
Oh my gosh, Caleb, thank you so much for the vulnerability and like the honesty. So much of what you shared resonates with me. Like you said, a whole word, but I think the way that like Jessica brings in the blocks and support, or like the bringing in something that'll help you lift, or just like lifting your belly. I was like, yo, this is real. I can actually do this. And so like accessing your body in a different way, or being able to just name that I have a belly that I need to adjust as well, was like so resonating with
And
me.
there's no shame because your instructor has one too.
Right?
And we're owning this and we're moving in our body.
And I love that. I don't think there's very few spaces that can even just name some of that, right? Even some of our like radical movement spaces. So again, this is just a testament to the space that Jessica has, curated, and also just like the way that our community just gets to show up, right? And yeah, I know that like I thank you for the shout out for bringing you on. But I think since another fan brought me on, Susanna brought me on, and then other people brought each other on, I think the fact that this is a word of mouth sort of like invitation, and that people stick around and that they invite their other friends, is a testament to how beautiful this space is.
And it's blowing my mind. I don't mean to cut you off, but Luna brought Susanna to an actual in-person class like before the pandemic. So it's just mind blown at this community. You guys are amazing.
And to be transparent, a lot of the reasons why I think I wanted to have this conversation was to really like uplift your work, Jessica, and to put a shine on all the ways that you do show up for so many folks that oftentimes aren't uplifted, aren't able to literally lift themselves. And we're learning to do that with you. That I think I'm glad that you're receiving all of this, because there's so much radical, dope things that you do in this class that has really felt so empowering, so liberating. And I think that theme will continue to happen. And hopefully through this conversation, and once people receive it, we'll learn so much from what we're doing and learning together. I think, yeah, go ahead.
I want to add that, like, also part of what I enjoy about this class is there's a sort of intuition to the fat body that you bring, and how to move it and how to make movements accessible to the fat body that are so helpful for me. I have attended other yoga classes and other accessible yoga classes that weren't taught by a fat person, and just that it's another way that like your fatness is actually an asset, and knowing what it's like to live in a fat body and move in a fat body and how to communicate that to others is an asset. And that's like a real generative thing that you bring to this class as well, and something I'm so grateful for.
Thank you.
Yeah, the Love Fest will continue for you, Jessica. So I hope you're receiving and holding all of it. I want to transition us into and thank you, Kayla, for saying that. It's going to be a continuation of what we're all the things that we're saying, but I want to get to know a little bit more about like gentle yoga as a practice. And I know we've been saying how much we've learned from, you know, the couple months with you, Jessica, but I'm curious to know what has teaching gentle yoga taught you about yourself?
I think it has just kind of reaffirmed that I am moving in the right direction. I think I told you about how I got started in yoga, and there's a moment when I was finishing the program where it was like, now go. And I was like, what am I going to do? Where am I going to teach? Like, my gym is not going to hire me just because I'm fat. I already know that. Like, where am I? Like, who is going to hire me? And I just kind of had that thought, and I didn't really ruminate on it, but it kept popping up, right? And as soon as I was done with the program and I put it out in the world, like, I'm going to figure this out. I want to teach. I remember clearly saying in class, like, I'm going to teach as soon as I can. And opportunities just started coming. So having this class and like seeing the community grow and word of mouth and having people show up every week has just kind of affirmed that I'm of service. I'm doing something for other people. But also that so many people need representation, not just fat bodies. Like, I've learned that, like, you know, I think the three of us are in, I use the term fat. I hope I'm not offending anybody. The three of us are in fat bodies, visibly fat, very obvious, you know, there's no poking around it.
Right.
But there are people who are smaller that see themselves reflected in me. And you and the three of us might look at that person and be like, but you're not fat. Like, why do you feel this way? You appear to be represented based on us, but they're not. Everybody's unique. Everybody is harboring how they feel in their skin. And if anybody feels different, like they're not fitting in with this model idea of what a fit person looks like, there's something, you know, in their head telling them they don't belong in space. So I think it's just opened my eyes to all of the different types of people that don't feel represented, that I have probably looked over in the past until I started teaching, leading this way. And even more so, like teaching online, because there's more of a reach. I have more people that come to classes because it's virtual, and it's just like, it's blowing my mind. I've had people that to me seem very privileged looking and small bodied and average, and like they would fit into a crowd, like say things to me that I'm like, you're looking to me for it? Like, I'm helping you somehow? So I think that has been like one of the biggest things for me, is just opening my eyes to how many people out there don't feel represented, that I wasn't even aware of.
Yeah, there's so much transformation that's happening because you're building out something on your own, and that other folks can, you know, straight size folks can find liberation through our liberation, which is a little weird, but also, you know, when Black fat femmes get free, all of us get free, honestly. So Caleb,
Absolutely.
Caleb, what resonates with you with what Jessica just shared?
Yeah, I've had similar experiences in my own work where people that I experience, like, what could you possibly, or like, I feel like I'm speaking to a specific crowd and then it resonates. And I think it's kind of, it makes sense to me that when black fat femmes are free, we're all free, because I think fat phobia and ableism impact all of us, even smaller bodied people, right? That in ways that they might not understand or might not see. But I completely understand why seeing fatter folks being moving and presenting alternate ways of being in a body is beneficial for everybody. And I think that it's part of the conversation that I don't think it's as clear to smaller bodied folks how fat phobia is harming them or impacting them. Even if it's like, oh, I don't want to wear the clothes that I want to wear. I don't want to eat the food that I want to eat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm too shy to join this yoga class because I'm not as thin as everybody else, or I'm not gonna like as flexible as everybody else, or whatever, right? So there's all these ways that these systems harm everybody, and we're just in many ways we're the most impacted simply because we're the most visible.
And I just want to add to that it's like, we all feel the way that we feel, and a lot of it's mental and a lot of it's physical, and we can't deny that. But it's a frame of mind. So if you feel less than, you feel rejected or not accepted, it doesn't matter how you look, that's how you feel. And if you see somebody who you can relate to, or you see yourself reflected in, living their life with purpose, unapologetically rejecting values that have been set up, these standards, these ideas of what you should be or how you should act, it's liberating, just like you said. So like, yeah, me freeing myself has been freeing for a lot of different people beyond my imagination, and I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for it, and for all of you.
Oh my goodness, I feel like you all are just transitioning us into the portion on gentle yoga as political, because so much of what we're talking about in this practice is about accessing freedom, especially during the bio warfare of COVID, the uprisings and rebellions that are happening across the United States, and especially as like Black, Indigenous, and people of color, fat folks doing yoga. I'm curious to learn more. I feel like we know that yoga is political now, but can you all speak to, and Caleb, you can maybe go first with this, how gentle yoga, what gentle yoga can offer Black, Indigenous, people of color, fat folks, and or disabled folks, queer and trans folks, and poor and working class folks?
Yeah, I mean, I think with this class specifically and the way that it's made so accessible, I think it disrupts a lot of the ways that yoga culturally has become very raced and classed and inaccessible to lots of folks, working class folks, rural folks, disabled folks. Um, but I think there's also something like what it's taught me and what it's helped me do is, like I said before, become more embodied and become more aware of my body. And I think that it's very beneficial to colonization and to racism for us to not be aware of our bodies, to just push past our pain, push past our discomfort, just become workers, right? And so for um, to have a practice that reminds you um, that you have a body and that this is what your body does. And I think another thing that I really value about this class is that Jessica is always bringing us back to our bodies and reminding us to think our bodies, and reminding us that like our bodies are doing so much for us, even if regardless of how we feel about our bodies, right? They're doing a lot for us, and that's something that she brings to every single class, and that's so disruptive to these systems that harm us all.
Right, the interruption of these narratives that we're just gotta produce, or that we're less than, or that, yeah, and even the things that we have internalized, as a fat trans femme, it's just so, again, to access the body and to move past, sometimes dysphoria, sometimes, other feelings. And this is after, because I have yoga on Wednesdays after therapy. I'm so like, oh wow, this is a different form of care and accessing tenderness with myself. So I would ask the same thing to you, Jessica, because I think I think you have lots of like things to offer. That the question about what gentle yoga can offer BIPOC folks, and also I'm curious to learn about the ways that anti-Blackness and fat phobia and traditional yoga spaces have impacted you, and the ways that you counter those narratives or barriers or harmful practices in our gentle yoga class.
Absolutely. I feel like my experiences in yoga as we know it, like westernized yoga, showing up at these studios, is I'm always the biggest person there, hands down. And I'm usually always the only person of color or the only Black woman visible there. Sometimes it's not the case, but usually it is. And what I feel, the first thing I feel is like you're the elephant in the room. People don't want to talk to you, but they see you. They're very aware of you, right? And then the second part of that is, like an instructor visibly seeing that physically I'm not going to be able to do the pose the way it's instructed, and not offering me nothing, not an eye contact, not here, try this block, move your belly this way, can you put your arm that, nothing. And not making me feel like it was an option, right? Oh, take a child's pose, just come down if you can't do this, so that, and then also this assumption, right? And I don't know if this is a white thing, I don't know if this is a Western yoga thing, but just that assumption that I'm new. Anytime I go to a brand new studio, I'm new to yoga, new to movement, right? And that I have a weight loss goal and a goal to stand on my head or whatever. like just these assumptions. So that's what, not just large people, not just marginalized people, that's what scares everybody away from fitness and yoga and things like that. People that are not athletically inclined, right? They're like, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't have that goal. And that's what they're going to push me towards. So those are some of the things that I've experienced in that way. And then as far as what gentle yoga can bring to the people, really just what Caleb said, just a way to embody yourself. And personally, as I'm kind of leaning towards, well, I'm definitely leaning more towards radical self-acceptance versus this whole body positivity narrative. And body positivity is fine, but it's been co-opted by so many corporations, and I feel like it's meaningless at this point. But like a radical self-love, like you don't have to like yourself, but you sure can appreciate your body. You sure can take care of yourself. You sure can realize that you aren't your body. Like you are this entity, you are consciousness, you are a spirit, whatever you want to call it, whatever denomination you're part of or not. Like we can all agree, most of us, that we are not our body. Like we are not this container. And from looking at it from that perspective, you can gain more appreciation. Like, think of it like this way. If you didn't like your body, you didn't like anything about yourself, if you were to have a child that looked exactly like you would love everything about that child. So can you think of yourself as your own child? Can you remove yourself from your body if it's an issue, if it's difficult, and just care for yourself? Just listen to yourself. Just find some tenderness. And you don't have to love it. You don't have to like it physically, aesthetically, but you will start to appreciate it, and you will learn to. At some point, you'll be like, yeah, I love myself. I'm not putting up with this shit anymore, or whatever the case. It's going to start spilling off the mat into your life.
Yeah, and I feel like what you're speaking to is like the entry point for someone who's probably not, that's on a journey to self-love and probably early on in their self-love. Because for me, like, I've learned to love my body, all the curves, all the stretch marks, all of the like overhang, like I think that's out of being able to be in community with other sort of radical fat folks in the Bay Area. And I know that the Bay Area is not everywhere, and that these spaces also exist outside of the Bay Area and rural spaces like Caleb mentioned. Caleb, I'm curious to hear more about what's resonating for you from what Jessica is saying, and also just like move us into, I know that yoga starts in a few minutes, but maybe share what like gentle yoga as a fun and embodied practice. So like how has gentle yoga helped you in your academic and political work, if it has so, and if so, how?
Yeah, I mean, I think as part of a movement practice, it's helped me, like what Jessica was saying, that when we enter these spaces, there's an assumption, A, that we're new, and B, that we have a weight loss goal, and C, that we can't perform these movements in the ways that they're expected to, which is all about ableism, which is all about white supremacy and trying to discipline all of our bodies to be into some sort of like constructed norm, as if we're all supposed to be the same, as if all of our bodies are supposed to look the same way, as if we're all supposed to move the same way, and the ways that we're supposed to move are supposed to conform to white standards. And so it helps me understand that and understand kind of all that's at stake when and disconnecting these ideas of like movement as a weight loss practice, disrupting ideas of health. I mean, I'm a graduate student and I'm, at UC Berkeley, and everybody else is thin, and it's like a mind fuck because everybody acts like that's normal. And I'm like, girl, I'm from Texas. It's not supposed to be this way. I'm not supposed to be the only fat person in any room. Like, that is very strange and very abnormal, but I'm in this space because it's so in these ways racialized and classed, just the way that, in the same way that fatness is racialized and classed, that I'm like the outlier. And then I get these questions about like health, and everybody is like, yeah, we get like that, you shouldn't treat fat people bad, but it's still bad for your health. And so having a movement practice really helps me understand that in an embodied way versus a theoretical way of like, I know in my body what is good for me and what isn't. But but that's a newer thing that I haven't had access to, because movement has always been narrated as about weight loss and as about health, or I'm sorry, as about weight loss, and conforming to these standards, instead of just being like, what's actually good for your body? What can your body do? And what would be good for that? And so, yeah, and it helps me also understand, when I go to the gym and folks are just like really trying to produce a particular kind of muscular body, I'm like, this isn't health. Like, you don't know that, like, that person, like, it just makes it so clear how much um health has become an aesthetic, um rather than a practice. And also that, like, health in and of itself is complicated and not something that, like, everybody can access, even if they do all the right things. Folks are born disabled, folks develop disabilities, and will never be like that kind of health. And I want to hold that and honor that, and we can still treat our bodies in ways that feel good, even if they'll never conform to these standards and that are good for our bodies.
And I know we're running out of time. We got to start yoga soon here. I think some new people have joined for the class. We're starting soon, people, I promise. But I just wanted to like add on to that. There's also this aspect of health being like this moral compass. Like, you're a bad person if you're not healthy. And if you're fat, you're probably not healthy. And that is just absolute bullshit, because first of all, let's get to the root of this. You're not attracted to fat people. And so you're trying to find all these like different ways to like justify that. And let's just be honest, like, you spelled "I hate fat people" wrong. Like, you said that sentence wrong. And my health, your grandmother's health, your mama's health, your brother's health, like, it's none of my business. And it shouldn't determine whether I treat you with respect or not. And that's the bottom line. Get out of my like doctor's file. It's moot. We're not talking about, I'm not playing good fatty for you, Sorry, I just got really.
That was it. I mean, I was going to ask you to give us an advice that you would offer Black and brown fat folks interested in accessing their bodies, but that is the work that you
you don't have to answer anybody's questions about your health. It's none of their business. And it's not a compass for support. It's not what they're going to base their respect for you off of. And it shouldn't be. And look them straight in the eyes and tell them what they're saying, and to get real with themselves. That's my piece of advice for that argument.
Go off. That is wisdom, lived and embodied wisdom. I want to thank the two of you for taking the time to be so generous with sharing all that you did. And thank you again, Caleb. And of course, Jessica, you have literally changed my life. And so everyone just give them some love. And I'm going to turn it back over to you, since we're going to do some embodied gentle yoga after this very fruitful conversation.
Yes, thank you guys so much for, this was your idea. I think it was your idea, or was it Caleb's idea? It was your guys' idea, it wasn't mine. So thank you guys so much. Thank you for inviting me, for getting me to do this. This is definitely not something I would have done on my own. I appreciate you both very much. And I think this is a great warm up for our practice. So without further ado, if you're staying, and I hope you are, we're gonna start laying down on the mat, and we're going to move through a nice, gentle, relaxing, stretchy practice. So let's get it. I'm going to move my situation over a little bit. Oh, and then today, as far as blocks or props, let's get a blanket as always. And if you have some blocks, grab them. But if you don't, no big deal. Aldita, did you give me presenter back?
I'm doing it right now.
Perfect, thank you. That was new and fun. Thank you guys for joining. And hopefully the recording comes out good and we can put that up somewhere. Anybody who joined late that wants to view. Right. Right. All right, and we'll get the music started and we'll get right into it. So coming onto your back, whatever position you like works good. If you want to open up the hips a little bit, you can come into bound angle with the feet together and allow the knees to fall out. And just take a moment to round out your thoughts. Give yourself time to enter yoga space, movement space. And just notice if you're holding on to any feelings, any emotions, any tension in your body. Maybe your neck or shoulders are tense, and just give yourself some time to let that go. And once you feel like you're settled in and you noticed your breath, you notice how you're breathing. Start to deepen your breath here. Maybe rock your head from side to side. And find your awareness back to this moment, to being here right now. And this concludes our practice. I want to thank you all for joining, those who were here for the conversation, those who showed up for the yoga, those that were here for both. A lot of fun. Totally, like, I was amped up at the beginning, got fired up, and I've been brought down a few notches, so I hope you guys feel that same energy. You feel good and relaxed in your body. I like to end the class with an Om. It's something that I almost always do every time. So you don't have to join in. You can sign out now. You can stay in your shavasana. You can just listen. But if you would like to join, bring the hands to heart center, whether you're sitting down or laying down. If you're sitting down, sit up nice and tall. And it's the sound of the universe, and it's a thing that kind of universally connects us all in the yoga community. That's why we do the Om. So sitting up tall, taking the Om on the exhale. Take an inhale here. The light and energy in me recognizes the light and energy in all of you. Special thank you to Caleb and Aldita. You guys are amazing. Aldita, you did such a great job moderating. Caleb, you're amazing. I am a fan of yours. Awesome to hear you guys speak, to listen to both perspectives, and to really just to get to know each other better. Maybe we can do something like this again. Hopefully we can do something like this again. Anybody wants to say anything, you can unmute yourself.
Hi, Dad.
Hi. I'm like, please stop me from rambling.
Somebody talk to me.
How does everybody
awesome
feel?
night. I really appreciated the experience tonight. So
Thank you, Brandon.
Hi, Miss Jessica.
Hi.
I feel like this yoga, like it made me feel really centered with my body, and it made me feel centered. And it made me feel super in control of my body.
Good.
Control. And it helped me it helped me fix my ADHD a little bit.
A little bit. Every day, a little bit.
And
It's only for an hour, ma'am. You're doing a good job.
And for the speech of how you said it. The speech on how for the speech you said about your body, and I really felt I really think it taught a bunch of people how to accept just accept themselves for who they are. It just accept everyone for who they are. Like I accept myself for being a mix.
Well, I'm glad that this is helping you. I'm so happy to see that you joined your mom.
Okay.
I love seeing him on the camera. I love seeing him on the camera. I get so excited.
Oh, so many new faces, and I just want to say, if anybody takes any pictures of me on screen, that's totally fine. You have my consent, but please blur out anybody's face or name that might show up on the screen for privacy. And anybody who's new, welcome. I hope you like the class. Please let me know that this was your first and how you felt about it. I am doing this class every Wednesday. I've been doing this class every Wednesday since March, the middle of March, whenever this lockdown thing started. So I will be here next week. I also have class on Sunday mornings through Everybody Los Angeles. You can contact me for info on that class. Yeah. Aldita, Caleb, are you guys still here? I don't know if you guys have something to say. I don't know if you guys are still here. I can't tell.
I'm still here. I was about to
Oh, there you
leave.
are.
But yeah, come again. Invite your friends. And if you didn't catch the donation to Venmo Jessica at Jessica-Rehal on Venmo. Just we want to support our marvelous instructor. And I know there's been lots of changes due to COVID, and the fact that we're still meeting virtually is just so much gratitude for it. It's definitely been something to look forward to each week. And I feel that the talk today just added to the magic of what Jessica has been building. So thanks so much for joining, folks. And hope to see you.
And thank you for your magic, Aldita. Like I said before, I wouldn't have done this had you not reached out and said, hey, let's try this. Are you interested in this? Because this is a great idea. I appreciate it. And I appreciate the community kind of pushing each other forward in different ways, even if you don't realize it. Kind of it's a thing, right? For us to try new things sometimes. So I really appreciate you believing in me and spreading the word. And yeah, if anybody, like I said, honestly, if anybody has any questions or feedback, or you want to see a specific theme or participate in a different type of conversation or whatever, you know how to reach me. And I would also say that anybody who has not come to this class before, who's new, if you want to continue to receive invites for the class, let me know. Just reply to the email or calendar invite. Otherwise, I'm not inviting you to the next class, as I don't want to spam everybody. I have my list of regular people that come fairly frequently, and I'll keep sending them invitations. But if you want on the list, you want a weekly invite, just let me know. I'll add you to it, no problem. I just don't want to spam you.
It was a great class. You have a good night.
Thanks, Janice.
You're welcome.
And thank you, everybody. Thanks, Val.
Thanks,
Bye. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.